Well, it's 2019, and last I checked, facts still don't give a damn about anybody's feelings. They never have, and they never will. So when somebody proclaims a simple truth, a fact, is that fact disgusting if it hurts somebody's feelings? And should the person who proclaims that fact apologize? Before I get started, I just want to say I'm not a fan of CNN, Phone News, MSLSD, Michael Knowles, or the Daily Wire, but I do want to get to the bottom of the truth. So it appears that everybody's talking about Michael Knowles' comment about Greta Thunberg. Fox News apologized to Greta Thunberg for mentally ill comment by network guests, said CNN. Fox News apologizes for guests calling Greta Thunberg mentally ill. And this is from USA Today. Disgraceful. Fox News apologizes to Greta Thunberg after guest calls her mentally ill. Let's just go ahead and read this from CNN, and this was put out today. It says Fox News apologized to Swedish climate activist Greta Thunberg Monday night after a guest comment during a segment earlier that evening. Conservative pundit Michael Knowles brought up Thunberg, the 16-year-old activist who addressed the United Nations General Assembly on Monday during a conversation on The Story with Martha McCallum. And here's how that went right here. Let me just go ahead and play you this segment.
None of that matters because the climate hysteria movement is not about science. If it were about science, it would be led by scientists rather than by politicians and a mentally ill Swedish child who is being exploited by her parents and by the international left.
You.
Now, obviously, that was the comment right there that was heard around the world, and that offended a lot of people. I'm just going to play this again. Just listen to the context in which he says it and how he says it.
Matters because the climate hysteria movement is not about science. If it were about science, it would be led by scientists rather than by politicians and a mentally ill Swedish child who is being exploited by her parents and by the international left.
You.
So what you're seeing here is a political movement and a religious movement, and it's fulfilling religious and political goals of the left, but it isn't doing very much for science.
Chris, you had a visceral reaction to that. Go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, you're a grown man and you're attacking a child. Shame on you. She's trying to do what she thinks is...
Okay, so here's the question. Does stating a fact constitute an attack on somebody? When you just state a fact. Now, what Michael Knowles is saying is that Greta is mentally ill, but isn't, and let me just tell you, here's what Michael Knowles tweeted out, because people are saying he doubled down. He says in a tweet, her mother wrote a book about her mental issues. There's nothing shameful about living with mental disorders. What is shameful is exploiting a child, particularly a child with mental disorders. Now, they're saying that he doubled down on this to advance your political agenda. Now, let's just say that this child, Greta, is being exploited. Okay, let's just take the mental disorders out of it. Let's say she is being exploited so that somebody can advance the agenda of climate change, which is going to make, let's face it, it's going to make a lot of people a lot of money. I mean, we're talking about just above board AOC's Green New Deal, which is $93 trillion, guys, to fix the planet. Politicians are going to fix the planet for the low, low price of $93 trillion. All you have to do is leverage generations of people who haven't even been born yet so we can put them into transgenerational debt slavery and fix the world, because we know that when government's on the job, things get done right. That's not going to happen, because that's never happened. So people are upset. So the question is, what if the powers that shouldn't be literally are exploiting children? That would absolutely 100% be evil. If that's what's happening, am I saying that's what is happening? I'm asking, could that be happening? And if that's happening, that's bad. Now, the second thing is, does she have a mental disorder? If she does stating that fact equal disgraceful, like USA Today is saying right here? Disgraceful. Actually, Fox News says this. Listen to the apology from Fox News. Fox News says, the comment made by Michael Knowles, who is a guest on The Story tonight, was disgraceful. We apologize to Greta Thunberg and to our viewers. What was disgraceful? if indeed Greta has a mental disorder, how is it disgraceful by speaking the truth? They're literally saying speaking the truth is disgraceful. Let's find out. We know that everybody knows that Greta has Asperger's disease, Asperger's disorder. This is autismsociety.com, guys. This is from their very website. Asperger's disorder was added to the American Psychiatric Association's Diagnostic and Statistical Manual of Mental Disorders. The Autism Society is calling what Greta has a mental disorder. Michael Knowles called what she had a mental disorder and called her mentally ill. And that upset a lot of people. Let's continue on with this.
And by the international left. So what you're seeing here is a political movement and a religious movement.
I'm just going to play it back because I want to. What we have to do is we have to put our emotions on the shelf, because facts never have and never will care about our feelings ever. Facts are facts and feelings are feelings. And if your feelings get hurt because a fact was proclaimed, well, facts don't apologize. Facts are just facts. Listen.
Because the climate hysteria movement is not about science. If it were about science, it would be led by scientists rather than by politicians and a mentally ill Swedish child who is being exploited by her parents and by...
So the question is Greta a mentally ill Swedish child? We know she has Asperger's. We know the American Autism Society declares Asperger's a mental disorder. So is Michael Knowles out of line by saying this?
By the international left. So what you're seeing here is a political movement and a religious movement, and it's fulfilling religious and political goals of the left, but it isn't doing very much for science.
Chris, you had a visceral reaction to that.
And that last part was true, but that last part they sidestep because they're so emotional and they're so offended about the fact that somebody said that a girl who has a mental disorder has a mental disorder, that they can't even see straight and they can't deal with the issues because there are no facts that back up the climate change myth that we only have 11 years or 4 years or however many years we have left. We have to do something now is what they're saying. It's the Hegelian dialectic. Problem, reaction, solution. The government creates the problem, waits for the fear-based reaction, and people are so emotionally driven that they give over their money and their freedom so that the government can fix a problem that they started in the first place. And then the solution is introduced, which was already pre-planned before the problem was even initiated.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, you're a grown man and you're attacking a child. Shame on you. She's trying to do what she thinks is right. And by the way, now, relax, skinny boy.
He said, I'm not attacking. I'm saying they've exploited a mentally ill child.
Boy, I got this, okay? You're attacking a child. You're a grown man.
I just want to back this up. Watch her eyes when he says, back off, skinny boy. Watch this.
All right, relax, skinny boy. I got this, okay? You're attacking a child. You're a grown man. Have some...
She's sitting here thinking, man, my ratings just went up.
I'm not. I'm attacking the left for exploiting a mentally ill child.
Maybe on your podcast, you get away and say whatever you want because nobody's listening. You're on national television. Be a grown-up when you're talking about children. She's trying to save the planet because your president doesn't believe in climate change, and kids need to take to the streets to worry about their future. You are despicable for talking to her about her like that, and you should apologize on...
I think the international left and her parents who are exploiting a girl with many mental illnesses.
You called her mentally ill. Take it back now.
Listen, if somebody's mentally ill, it's either true or it's not. Her parents have already declared her to be mentally ill. How is it offensive to declare something that her own parents say is true just because you don't like what he's saying about climate change and then you get mad about that and then you put that issue on the shelf but you deal with something that's really not relevant to the conversation? I'm not for Joey Salads or anything, but he says the left ripped on me for saying she had a mental condition. Did they even know she actually has one, or did they just ignore it to attack us? And this is another example of an us versus them mentality. Now, as far as I see, what Michael Knowles said was absolutely true. The powers that shouldn't be are exploiting a child who her own mother says has a mental disorder. He says that she has a mental disorder and they're exploiting her, and he gets mad because he believes that if you say that somebody has a mental disorder who actually has a mental disorder, he views that as an attack.
She is
Take
mentally
it
ill.
back now.
She is mentally ill. She has
Take it
autism.
back
She
now.
has obsessive compulsive disorder. She has selective mutism. She had depression.
You are despicable.
Her mother wrote about.
So is it being despicable? Is it being disgusting if you, first of all, I guess you could proclaim your opinion and your opinion is disgusting and despicable. But if you say something that is a known fact, that's amened by her parents, that's amened by the Autism Society, that Asperger's, which is one of the disorders that she has, is labeled as a mental disorder. If you say that somebody has a mental disorder and that they're possibly being exploited, how is that an attack on that person? Now, of course, Donald Trump weighs in and he says, she seems like a very happy young girl looking forward to a bright and wonderful future. So nice to see. And of course, they took that as the rib that it probably was. And she ribs back and changes her Twitter heading to read, a very happy young girl looking forward to a bright and wonderful future. To add to the flames, we also have Laura Ingraham weighing in on this. Here's how Laura Ingraham handled the situation.
Upon you. And if you choose to fail us, I say we will never forgive you. We will not let you get away with this. The world is waking up. And change is coming whether you like it or not.
Anyone else find that chilling?
A time of tribulation has come. A test.
By the way, you guys know me. I am not a Laura Ingraham fan. She plays into the left versus right dog and pony show all the time. She's basically a bootlicker for Trump, just like Sean Hannity is, and just facilitates the left versus right paradigm lie that keeps us all at each other's throats. So I'm not saying anything positive about Laura Ingraham here. I'm just covering the story the way it's been presented.
It is at hand. The final test.
I can't wait for Stephen King's sequel, Children of the Climate. Now, the left, if they ever get in power, will simply use the excuse of climate change to reward their friends.
And we've seen that time and time again. I don't disagree with what Laura Ingraham says there. Now, Laura Ingram's brother, Curtis, weighed in on Laura Ingram's comment about Greta, saying, clearly my sister's paycheck is more important than the world her 3 adopted kids will inherit. I can no longer apologize for a sibling who I no longer recognize. I can and will continue to call out the monstrous behavior. He's calling Laura Ingram's handling of this monstrous behavior and the bully commentary born out of anger. So we got tons of stuff going on here, and I wanted to leave this whole thing with you guys. What do you guys think about it? What do you guys think about, first of all, Michael Knowles' comment about Greta? What do you think about stating a fact that a certain person has a mental illness that even a person's own parents testifies to? The fact that the Autism Society declares Asperger's disorder as a mental disorder, which would be equal or tantamount to a mental illness. And what do you think about what Laura Ingraham said and the comment or the reaction of her brother Curtis? I'm going to leave this in your court, guys, because the more I say about this, the more opportunity I give YouTube to just strike my channel down. So I just want to leave this in your court. You guys let me know what you guys think about this. I think it's absolutely fascinating because one of the things that it definitely does is it solidifies the left versus right paradigm lie, and it keeps us from going after the real problem, one of the biggest problems that this world has to deal with. And that's the Zionist international banking cartel known as the Federal Reserve. It's the IRS. It's all the puppet masters who are pulling the strings of each and every person in the House and in the Senate. They control the United States Congress, completely control Congress. And the more laws they make, the more freedoms are stripped from us and the more wealth they accumulate for themselves. Leave your thoughts about this for the world and the Google Thought Police in the comments section below. And before you go, check out our new shirt designs in the shirt store. Here's the Beta Hates America design. Hell no, you're not taking my AR-15. And nobody needs an AR-15. Well, nobody needs a whiny little bitch either. And yet, here you are. And against all enemies, Democrat and Republican. There are over 90 other kick-ass designs in the store and the links in the description. Your purchase supports the message of freedom on this channel. If you get something out of this content, help me beat YouTube's censorship algorithms by liking and sharing this video. And while you're here, why not watch a couple more of my videos? Until next time, stand firm, stay vigilant, and for the sake of all that is right and good, stop giving your rights away to tyrannical psychopaths who want to destroy this country.